Namaste, Jai Hind and welcome to this edition of The Right Stand. It's a golden Monday at the Asian Games for Bharat, ladies and gentlemen, as the women's cricket team has won a historic gold and of course a world record-breaking score by the men's air rifle, 10-meter air rifle team that gets us another gold. That was the first gold that Bharat struck this time around at the Asian Games. Overall, we've won 3 bronze, 3 silver and 6 bronze medals. Meanwhile, Standard & Poor has actually retained the growth forecast and also the GDP forecast at 6% for the financial year 24. But it's upped the inflation numbers by 5 basis points to 5.5%. Growth at 6.9% during financial year 25 and financial year 26. So India continues to remain on the growth path with a healthy growth rate of 6%. But that inflation number is going to be a cause for worry at multiple counts. Meanwhile, Chandrayaan 3 Maha Quiz, you must take this. It's been pushed by both ISRO and Prime Minister, urging people to take part in celebrating this journey of the ISRO. And of course, what you need to do is answer 10 questions in 300 seconds. All you know about Chandrayaan 3. Go, take that quiz. Meanwhile, the first C-295 has been inducted formally into the Indian Air Force. It's the first military transport aircraft. One aircraft, many missions will replace. This will actually replace the aging Avro 748 fleet. Total 56 aircraft need to be included. 16 in flyaway condition will be delivered by Airbus. They'll be manufactured in Seville in France, and all 16 should be delivered by end of 2025. The remaining 40 thereafter will be manufactured at a Tata facility in Gujarat in Vadodara. Meanwhile, there is also the lotus-shaped fountain that is soon going to come up in Ayodhya. It's worth near about 100 crore rupees, can seat 25,000 people. It's near the Ram Mandir on the Ram Janmabhoomi. It will come up in about 20 acres of land. That's where it's being brought up. It's going to be shaped like a lotus and it's going to be a tribute to Ram Lalla. And a divine and spiritual experience is what is being promised. Clearly, it will be a visual spectacle. It's a huge fountain that's coming up to seat 25,000 people. It will be something that will be there for people to cherish and remember. That should happen soon. Meanwhile, more pictures are being put up by the trust in Ayodhya that the first phase, the first level of the temple will soon be nearing completion. We're counting down to about the 24th of January, thereabouts. That's where we are expecting that there will be the first puja that would happen. Moving on, ladies and gentlemen, to the first issue at hand. It is the failure of intelligence or perhaps a lack of conviction and credibility. But more importantly, questions being raised on the Canadian Prime Minister and the Canadian establishment's selective outlook towards terrorists or unwanted elements on Canadian soil. Well, the diplomatic ties between India and Canada only escalating. It all started after Justin Trudeau on the 18th of September alleged that Indian agents were perhaps involved in the killing of Khalistani agent, wanted terrorist on Indian soil, Hardeep Singh Nijjar. But India firmly rejecting these allegations and also demanding proof. Meanwhile, as India's probe agency, the NIA, begins its crackdown on K backers closer home, Canada continues to give K elements a platform. K agents have called for protests in Surrey and threatened Indian citizens and diplomats. This incident also exposes Justin Trudeau's duplicity. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau facing ire after Parliament honours a Nazi soldier. Trudeau is also being accused of approaching a silent or no action stand when it comes to the killing of Wei Yu and activist Karima Baloch. Now, these are the visuals at the Canadian Parliament as the Speaker was the one who introduced this 98-year-old in the gallery. Everybody stood up to applaud him. Nobody realized what his past was or that he fought for the Nazis. It was after Jewish groups who raised an objection that the speaker actually said that this person belongs to my riding or my constituency. I solely take responsibility for introducing this person. But did the Prime Minister's office not know of this intent? Did the Prime Minister's office not vet it? How credible is then the intelligence gathering of the Canadians itself? That's another question, ladies and gentlemen. The other aspect is the dual stand that's being taken for the likes or elements which are operating on Canadian soil, elements backed by China, elements backed by Pakistan ISI. Wehu reportedly target of a CCP campaign, their Operation Fox Hunt, designed to silence dissidents or force them to come back to China. The witness claims that Hu was being targeted by the CCP, but nothing much has been done. British Columbia's INSET launched the investigation, but there hasn't been much that come. Canadian cops claim that they are aware of foreign interference, but beyond that, not much has been done. There are also intel sources say CCP allegedly contributed to Trudeau's political campaign, and that's why Justin Trudeau tried to divert it. Intel source says Trudeau allegedly denied probe into China's meddling, and Canadian police are claiming they are aware of this info. Pak activist Karima Baloch thereafter was found dead in Toronto. This happened in 2020. Karima Baloch living in Canada since 2015. Karima Baloch faced terrorism charges in Pakistan, but she is a Baloch activist. Baloch claimed that her life was in danger while she was living in Canada. Karima's death probed as a non-criminal case by the Canadian police. Baloch wrote to the Trudeau government, expressed disappointment and anger, and questioned the conspicuous silence on Karima Baloch's death, and also the impassioned speeches while there were impassioned speeches on Hardeep Nijjar. So the Baloch writing and saying those who are actually fighting for a just cause, you are actually not doing much about them. Also, many questions are being asked about the silence over the death of Riputaman Singh, or even Gunek, or the Sukha Gunek who's just been murdered. So the internecine gang wars between these elements, and Justin Trudeau continues to harp on Hardeep Nijjar. It's been more than a week since Justin Trudeau on the floor of the Canadian Parliament alleged that they have credible reasons and credible allegations, two terminologies that he's used, to cite the involvement of K-backers or Indian agents trying to, in the murder of Hardeep Nijjar, wanted terrorists or wanted Khalistani, but they are yet to provide any concrete evidence. Now here's what top government sources are revealing to CNN News 18. Trudeau has zero info or intel about Nijjar's killing. India, via backdoor and diplomatic channels, sought the info. Nothing's been provided. They have not shared any detail with India yet. Under K Group's pressure, he blamed India for murder. The Trudeau government shared misinformation with the G7 groups also. Trudeau is facing intense criticism over law and order issue, shortage of police personnel due to sinking economy. Surrey itself needs more than 1,500 cops. They have just about 500 to 600. No action being taken against Pakistan, CCP over targeted killings in Canada. All of these issues are only increasing the pressure and the embarrassment for Justin Trudeau. Interestingly, ladies and gentlemen, we've just checked. Not a single FIR has been filed. The cops don't even have a list of suspects or names on who killed Hardeep Nijjar. But Justin Trudeau has gone ahead and tried to blame it on India. Joining us now, Chris Blackburn, International and Security Affairs expert, Michael Rubin, Senior Fellow, American Enterprise Institute, Puneet Sani, Sikh activist, Manjeev Puri, a former Indian diplomat, Hardeep Singh, spokesperson of the BJP. Namaste and thank you very much, gentlemen, for your time and for joining us here on this edition of The Right Stand. Michael Rubin, if I may start with you, please allow us to understand the Five Eyes nations are supposed to share intelligence with each other. How is it that it is on these Five Eyes nations that all of the Khalistani activity, all of this activity which is secessionist in nature, challenging Bharat's sovereignty, has been going on for quite a while?
Well, look, the information was shared. The United States said that they provided context, but any allegation of a smoking gun came from the Canadian Security Agency. If Justin Trudeau wants to act as a useful idiot for the ISI, no one in the United States or among the other Four Eyes can stop him from doing so. The notion of the intelligence sharing is that we want to cooperate, but that cooperation now is actually going to take a huge hit on the part of Canada, simply because none of the other countries are going to trust that Canada isn't going to betray intelligence, misconstrue intelligence for political means.
But if I may ask you, Michael, is America still wanting this to go away? Are they now caught between a rock and a hard place?
Well, we're caught between a rock and a hard place, and then whenever we're caught between a rock and a hard place, we want it to go away. I mean, when Secretary Blinken calls for an investigation, that's a nothing word. I mean, he's going to call for an investigation to see whether the sun rises in the east and sets in the west if it became a diplomatic scandal. The fact of the matter is, we are acting far differently than we acted, for example, in the case of Jamal Khashoggi or any place else where we had credible intelligence.
Chris Blackburn, either the UK or the US have provided intel. The UK has a very strong position against Khalistanis now, especially under Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, and after the recent report that was cited across the board that Khalistani activity is dangerous even for the British. But there's a history to this patronage.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Yeah, I agree. I think Canada is out of the Five Eyes sort of coalition. Canada is in an extreme position because in 2010 the Canadian government itself launched a massive government inquiry into the Canadian intelligence and their security services handling of the Air India bombing in 1985. So I think the Canadians themselves knew this was a hot topic and a real bad issue for the Canadians. So I think for them to then come out and say, oh, well, you know, it might be one of our Five Eyes partners where we got the intelligence from. I think it's very reckless on behalf of the Canadians. And Justin Trudeau and his ministers have tried to palm it off and try to make it look like a third party is responsible for this. But I think the Canadians themselves have to take responsibility and they have to show the world, the global community, proof. Yes, it may interrupt an ongoing investigation, but they've got the onus now. They have to provide proof for the world. They can't just make accusations like they have, reckless accusations, without having some form of smoking gun. And Michael was right about that.
Credible reasons, credible allegations. Everybody is going to ask for credible evidence. There's not even a single FIR which lists with a list of suspects. Why would Justin Trudeau go ahead and say what he has said and try and hold on to the position while trying to drag some of the other Five Eyes nation into backing him? Chris Blackburn.
Well, I think we've seen from Justin Trudeau's opponents and people who he works with, they've said that they were given briefings by Canadian intelligence and basically it was open source material. I mean, this is a pretty grave accusation against India. So for then CSIS and Trudeau himself to be briefing out that they've got credible allegations, we now know they've been briefing it's open source material. So this is unprecedented in my eyes. And the Canadians have a history of botching investigations when it comes to Khalistan. And I think we know from Trudeau's former foreign policy advisor, Omar Aziz, he basically said, we dragged our feet when it came to Khalistan because Justin Trudeau made the calculation that it could potentially affect the Sikh vote in Canada. Now that, to me, is the biggest bombshell that's come out of any investigation so far. The Canadians have the onus now to prove it.
But more importantly, 2016, there's a red corner notice against Hardeep Singh Nijjar. 2017, a Canadian report itself cites the presence of Khalistanis, and these elements have got Khalistani antecedents, and their intent is nefarious. There are videos that were put out on the 25th of February 2017 here on our network at CNN News 18 with Hardeep Nijjar carrying an AK-47, which is a banned weapon in Canada. And no action was taken. But Manjeev Puri ji, why is Canada allowed to get away with this? Now you have a US citizen in Gurpatwant Panun threatening Canadian citizens, asking them to leave and trying to create and rabble-rouse in Surrey. And Justin Trudeau does not have a problem with that. Here both America and US and Canada have to answer a few tough questions. Are they okay with an American citizen threatening Indo-Canadians? And that too in an act against India's sovereignty, Mr. Puri?
Thank you very much. I completely agree with you. There's no question of this kind of thing tolerated. What surprised me was to see this gentleman or this individual on Indian television. That I thought was totally inexcusable, giving him any kind of airtime. Look, I am very clear in my mind. Terrorists have no place. And the acts of terrorism and those who commit them, they have absolutely no place. They should be shielded under any pretext whatsoever. So I am very clear in my mind. I am not able to actually square up the entire set of reasons. But I want to make a small point to you. Look, suppose the Canadians felt that there was some kind of a hand from outside their country in all this. Well, there's a police investigation. There are simple law enforcement rules in every country in the world, including India, including Canada. Please follow them. Red corner notices, summons, etc. And if you want to do something on the diplomatic front, you reach out and do it. In my opinion, what was done on the 18th of September violates this cardinal principle which Western countries, and Canada is in the lead, always talk about: follow a rules-based order. What kind of rules-based order is this in terms of international relations and interacting with countries who are friendly? And I must say, India and Canada have good relationships. Look at our people's relationships, our trade relationships, membership of the G20, Indo-Pacific, and so on. Is this a rules-based way of approaching things? I don't think so.
But Mr. Puri, Canada and the US are signatories along with so many other nations on the G20 communique, which runs into more than 80 paragraphs, which has detailed explanation and agreements on terrorism, and that sovereignty of every nation needs to be respected. If I were to turn around and quote credible evidence that India has given on Hardeep Singh Nijjar since 2015, if not before, what is a credible action under this rules-based order that Canada ever took?
I completely agree with you. You know, that's what I said, that what Canada has done and what the Prime Minister of Canada did in the Parliament of Canada on the 18th of September, in my understanding, goes against the entire concept of what is called a rules-based playoff in international relations. So the G20's 83 paragraphs notwithstanding, these are standard methodologies in which countries deal with countries, especially countries which are friendly and which certainly are not in the category of the few countries which are kind of proscribed by the rest of the world. This is something which at least I, in a 40-year career in the Indian Foreign Service, have never heard of, not insofar as India is concerned, and frankly, really not in terms of the way countries deal with other countries, and that to friendly countries.
Well, we've just got a news update coming through. Intel sources revealing to CNN News 18 that Sikh groups are feeling that they are losing respect and love from across the world due to this radical approach by a select few, whom the Indian High Commissioner to Canada, Sanjay Kumar Verma, said they are nothing but a bunch of goons. Sikh groups say that these Khalistanis have no association with Guru Granth Sahib in any way and are never seen them reciting or read a single word from Guru Granth Sahib. They also feel the rise of an extremist fringe ideology, the pro-Khalistan, is creating negative impact on Sikhs across the world. One of the first reasons they are citing is this visa cancellation issue is upsetting the Sikh community big time. The second reason they are saying is the cancellation of visa will also disturb the social fabric. Escalation from India on visas is going to hurt not just the Sikh community but the entire Indo community across the world, Indian diaspora. Escalation from India due to Trudeau's inaction, no case-to-case basis decision for visas, and these are all concerns from the Sikh community. Bringing in Puneet Sahni and Sardar Hardeep Singh on this. Puneet Sahni, is Justin Trudeau on borrowed time? A. Secondly, when will the majority of the Sikhs, 795,000 out of the 800,000 odd in Canada, stand up as one voice and tell Trudeau that he's barking up the wrong tree?
Namaste, Anand.
Namaste.
Let's see. So you see, Trudeau is of course on borrowed time, right? And it's actually his agencies are completely compromised, because I have been tweeting about Nijjar for a year, and if they were not so compromised, I would have helped them crack the case. To give you an example, the godfather of where this Nijjar worked, of the Khalistanis, was Ripudaman Singh Malik, the financier of Air India Bombay. So if you read the last interview of, Ripudaman Malik, he is saying this Nijjar is running a hate campaign against me. And if somebody understands Punjabi and, if you do the translation of what Nijjar was saying about Malik, he was saying that this Malik he's first a disbeliever. So he's attacking him religiously. Then he's he's using in Punjabi, I cannot translate, he calls him a tukadboch, like somebody who eats from the street the morsels of the Indian government. So if in the Khalistani circles, he's attacking him and he's killed. And that guy was a multi-millionaire. Would the attack not come on Nijjar? So obviously that thing is there. Now you asked when the Sikh community will speak up. They will speak up when the cost to speak would become zero. So right now I have given so many examples. They killed the journalist. You see the investigation of the Air India bombing. Mr. Rubin is sitting, he'll be blown away. So the guy who basically put the bombs on the plane, the judge looked at the evidence and, it came with the intelligence officer. Yes, this guy, and, this has been verified from the American sources as well, from third sources, that this guy was here. He went to this lady's house to put the bombs. But the lady was so terrified that she was like, I will never testify in person. I give you a signed statement. The judge said her testimony is very credible. But because, she cannot testify in front, the rights of this terrorist are being violated. In any sane country, if you are terrifying the witness, the defense should suffer. But in Canada, and that's how this terrorist got away. So if you have so much terror, how can anybody speak against them? And one last point, and I think that's very salient, and I had been making the case also on your channel that this Indian government's policy of removal of blacklist was wrong. It is counterproductive, and now they have acknowledged it, and now they are going back on it. Another big mistake that this government did was, removing normal Sikhs, Sahijdari, from voting. And, this SGPC was doing it, and the Sikh Prime Minister never did what Mr. Modi did to show his, large-heartedness, which is leading to its more and more radicalization. If you see, Justin Trudeau is being condemned in his country from very, very left media. Nobody is taking his side. But if you read today what the SGPC has tweeted, they are condemning the Indian government and taking Justin Trudeau's side. So, that's a long discussion. But they are SGPC is like a corrosive institution like the ISI. And its entire basis and foundation is not Hindu-Sikh separation, but animus against the Hindus. So by the government, by strengthening this is again one of the biggest blunders that they did, that the consequences we are seeing now. So, about the blacklist, you could just, turn the knob and you got it. But they had to go in the parliament and change the law, and you have to change the law again. But I hope the government now understands and don't do anything to strengthen the SGPC. They are the Pakistan within.
Sardar RP Singh, how do you want to respond to that, what Puneet Sahni said? The other question is that if an American citizen is threatening Canadian citizens, what is India doing about it, Indo-Canadians? He's also threatening, and he's creating an atmosphere of unease and disquiet among the Indian diaspora, largely students who are really worried for their safety. What is India doing?
Well, Anand, they are being exposed on all diplomatic platforms, and then world is knowing what is happening now through the Indian diplomats and Indian ecosystem now, that how the Canadian land is being used, or the Canadian Gurdwara are being used for Khalistan. Not only that, recently one of the schools was landed for the objective of Khalistan. For the referendum which was supposed to happen on 10th of September was bound to happen in a government school. And it was people like Puneet, me, and one of gentlemen named Sukhi Child who raised his voice. And thereafter they withdrew their permission to hold the referendum in the school. And then in that there was machine guns, AK-47, and then pictures of Khalistanis. Those were pasted in the school. So what message are you giving to your students also? What message are you giving to your future generation also? That we are allowing all this to happen. And when the float of Mrs. Gandhi being killed, and then 2 Sikhs killing Mrs. Gandhi, when that float is allowed for almost 2 kilometers, 3 kilometers of the distance, that clearly shows what sort of message you are giving to the young generation of the Canada, that you are allowing all such weapons or all such of killings in society. You are supporting all such killings in society. And again, the basic question is, when will that credible evidence come? We all are waiting for that credible evidence. It's just by allegation it doesn't work, because diplomacy or relations between the nations doesn't go by the allegations. you need to have evidence, whether it's come through America, Australia, any of the P5 countries, or by any other. Till that, the needle of suspicion is toward Justin Trudeau, because he has taken a
my
step
understanding,
ahead now,
my
and he needs to
understanding,
prove
Sardar
it.
RP Singh, and correct me if I'm wrong, gentlemen, is that the Five Eyes piece of intelligence is for the Five Eyes only, and for them to get into some level of actionable evidence based on this intelligence. Michael Rubin, what is America going to do if they are caught between a rock and a hard place? Are they going to drop Justin Trudeau altogether? Or is this going to get further embarrassing for the Americans? Because they've got a great equation going with India, and this is going to derail a lot of things at a lot of levels.
The Americans are simply going to kick the can down the road until Justin Trudeau is out of office. The problem is not Canada. The problem at this point is Justin Trudeau and his, frankly, immaturity on certain issues. The United States is going, keep in mind, while this crisis is front and center with regard to India right now, the United States has been upset with Justin Trudeau in other ways. He hasn't upheld the defense commitments which Canada had made, which is the major reason why Canada is being excluded from the AUKUS alliance at this point. So there's a lot of sense in Washington that Justin Trudeau is distracted. He's simply not as serious as he should be, and that he's made a mistake, and there's no reason why we should bail him out.
But then the role of America also needs to be highlighted, Mr. Puri, because there are a lot of American citizens who are also Khalistanis, who are promoting this agenda, who are traveling to these Five Eyes nations, who are there in Australia, in New Zealand, in the UK, and currently in Canada. And there are allegations that they are actually getting FBI cover or high-level security cover.
And you're right. But these things have been known for a long time. They've come to the fore now. That's the thing. You asked the question about the United States. I think there should be no doubt that Mr. Trudeau coming out in the public, in the parliament in Canada, and making an allegation against a friendly country has put the spot on as far as the United States is concerned. Because in various ways, whichever way you look at it, within the Five Eyes, they are the principal eye, if I may use that kind of expression, and something that everybody understands. Now, with Indo-Pacific, China, so many other factors all coming around together, the fact is that it is a hot potato, and in some senses, the potato and its heat needs to be handled by them. Not an easy task, because, while I completely understand this, that, kick the can down the road and so on and so forth, that takes time. Canada is a country which is contiguous to the United States. These particular strains, these links, etc., cannot be underestimated. Sitting here in India, things are very different from the way we look at it. But the fact is that I'm afraid, as the most important power in the world, they have to handle this particular thing. And this potato has got heated up. And as you say in your own show, well, in some senses, they also had a little role in upping the temperature. What else can I say?
But that could be termed to a different time of geopolitics. And different levels of intelligence play, which has different layers to look at it. But things are changing now, Chris. How would you see things panning down the road? Is nobody going to turn around and ask Trudeau to cough up the evidence or apologize?
I think you're right. People will start asking Trudeau to come up with the evidence. What we've seen over the last 5 years is the Five Eyes coalition themselves. We know that Khalistani has been a problem, and it hasn't been looked at and addressed properly by countries. But the UK, Rishi Sunak, the British Prime Minister, said, listen, we're now putting our focus on this, and other nations have looked at that too. The fact is, everybody that works in security or around it knows that Canada has a Khalistani problem, and it's had that for quite a while now, for decades even. In the CSIS, the Canadian intelligence, as we know, have been highly embarrassed by accusations that they've botched up investigations in the past. Yes. So out of all of those Five Eyes nations, Canada should be the one that is actually pushing the boat out to please India. However, with the leadership of Justin Trudeau, he's doing the exact opposite. And I think we know that Canada and Trudeau have been compromised because we do know some of his ministers support Khalistan. So you have all these other factors that Canadian intelligence have been embarrassed in the past, that Trudeau is compromised by Khalistanis. So I think the rest of the Five Eyes nations understand this, and I think they'll be quite sympathetic to India in the long run.
What I'm not able to wrap my head around, Puneet Sahni, is the numbers show it's a 2% vote share. They are minuscule. The claims openly made are that they are just about 4,000 to 5,000 in number out of the 800,000 plus Sikh population in Canada. If that's the case, how is it that they enjoy so much of traction? If these are all unwanted elements against whom dossiers and evidence has been given, they are listed not just as terrorists, but they've got letter rogatories against them, be it on Canadian, them operating in Canada, or them being now American citizens. How did they get citizenship? You and me, if we have a single blotch on our record, a criminal record, our visas will be rejected. How did these people then get citizenship?
So thank you, Anand. So 2 points. So first, how you got citizenship, it's the answer. That actually means this is not some, electricity department. This is the immigration department, the most sensitive one. That actually means the immigration department is compromised by Khalistanis. And you understand, and that will answer your second question. Achha, like I'll tell you one more thing. This Ripudaman Singh Malik that died. Do you know his son works for the Royal Canadian Mounted Police now? Now imagine you are a non-Khalistani. Would you go and report to his son that if some Khalistani is doing something? So they are like a Muslim brotherhood. They have infiltrated all the institutions. And I give you an example. If you look at the most successful Sikh politicians in Canada, they're not Khalistanis. They're anti-Khalistanis. But the thing is, like I tell you, like when, there was somebody saying the report came out in Canada that Khalistanis are there. They put the pressure to remove the mention to, the Sikh extremism. And the guy who stood up and spoke against it, he was a Sikh himself. And he won from, what would be like Jackson Heights or, South Hall. It's the Brampton. It's a very Punjabi area. He became the member of parliament, which is like, very, very important. It's not a joke to become. So he could say, because he knew his people were supporting him.
Right.
But the WSO and the Liberal Party, they used the system that he was kicked out of the party, and the white Trudeau and his, white colleague called him a racist. So a Sikh parliamentarian is speaking against Sikh extremism, and his career is destroyed, and you are defaming him as a racist. So what is the average person who is looking on the street? What can they say? They see these monsters. They did the gravest mass murder in Canadian history, and they got away with it. So that means you shut up and keep your head down. What else can you do? What will you do if you are in that situation?
Well, Chris has also highlighted a similar case which has been now forgotten by the citizens of UK, the 1987 an instance that you had put out on your social media profile. I've just got some updates coming through. Government sources are telling CNN News 18 that in the last decade, links of Canada-based Khalistani extremists have emerged in more than half of the terror cases reported from Punjab. It's a government dossier. Multiple targeted killings of Sikhs, Hindus and Christians in Punjab after 2016 were handiwork of Hardeep Nijjar and his allies, but the Canadian agencies never ever started any inquiry or investigation against Nijjar and his friends, Bhagat Singh Brar, Pari Dulai, Arsh Dalla, Lakhbir Landa and many others. For Canada, they remain political activists despite the increasing body count over here in India in Punjab. And we've got more information coming through where Shiromani Akali Dal, we are given to understand this is the allegation that's coming through. The allegation and the charges are that they charge 1 to 2 lakh rupees, 100,000 to 200,000 Indian rupees for giving a letter to the youth to use for seeking political asylum in Canada, falsely claiming that they were party cadre and being persecuted in India on religious ground. Such youth, when they reach Canada, invariably end up joining these gangsters and these pro-Khalistani elements. Puneet Sahni, you've got your hand up. I wanted to go to Sardar RP Singh straight on this matter. What is the government going to do with political entities allowing this? Yes, Puneet Sahni and then Sardar RP Singh.
Yeah, so I give you the perspective. You named a guy, Bhagat Singh Brar. So who is Bhagat Singh Brar? He is the son of nephew of Bhindranwale. That nephew, whose name is Lakhbir Singh Rote, and he is hiding in Pakistan. And he is the person from whose Gurdwara this tableau for 6 kilometers and 6 hours of Mrs. Gandhi was taken. So these are kind of the disreputable. It's not like somebody is hiding. So he's repeatedly saying, I am the legacy of Bhindanwala. His father is hiding in Pakistan. This is Bhagat Singh Barat. I know the reality of all of them. You know, each person. I'm sorry to interrupt. Yes,
please.
Mr. Khalsa can speak further.
Yes, Sardar RP Singh. Now, Michael Rubin, Chris Blackburn, you're hearing all of this. The assassination of a former Prime Minister of our country is being celebrated on a caravan like they do it in New Jersey. They're doing it in Surrey over 2 kilometers. And the Trudeau administration is providing security and calling these elements as political activists. Now, will America allow Canada to do something similar with the 9/11 assassins or the 9/11 perpetrators? Will Canada even dare to do it? So, does this not reek of hypocrisy or somewhere patronage? But Sardar RP Singh, closer home. What are we going to do about these political parties who are allowing this to happen? They're running a racket here.
Anand, before I come to that, remember Al-Zawahiri was killed and Justin Trudeau posted a tweet on that and then appreciated that. And this was some 2 years back or 3 years back. So in case of Nijjar, he's taking it other around. But let me add one more part.
That also shows how US manages the narrative, and we have not been, sir. We have not been able to manage the narrative. But go ahead, please.
Sir. So Ripu Daman Singh changed his heart before his death. He came to India, he visited Golden Temple, and he spoke against Khalistani. And there's the credible now allegation. My part of allegation is that it was Nijjar who got Ripu Daman Singh killed. And it is because he's a very rich man, has a great following, and his people got Nijjar killed. This is something like not exactly a gang war, but yes, a war which was going on between people, a person who has changed his heart and mind, and person who still continue with the Khalistani bogie. So this is one part, but as far your SGPC part goes, if there are letters, it's such a shameful thing because earlier one of the member of parliament, Man, has said that I issue letters to people who want to go abroad. I charge them some 35,000 rupees from each one of them.
No, but there's falsification of facts, putting people there and sending them right to be recruited as young upstarts, children who don't even know the history. This is unfortunate, sir. We also need to do some cleanup here, and we need to do some gardening closer home. While we expect a certain level of pest control or extermination of such pests by our friends. So it has to begin. We have to show some hard action closer home before we ask anybody else to do anything about it, and we ask some tough questions from our friends saying, why are you allowing this? Gentlemen, thank you very much. Sardar RP Singh, I'm going to request you to stay on. We've got a short political face-off up next here on The Right Stand. As we wind up this discussion, we'll continue to track this story. Prime Minister Narendra Modi on the campaign trail, a hard, solid attack or a swipe at the Congress party, saying Niti se Naro tak, it's all being outsourced, and Congress party is currently being run by urban Naxals.
देश की माताएं बहनें इसका इंतजार कर रही थी। ये तक कहा जाने लगा कि शायद ये कभी नहीं हो पाएगा। मोदी है तो हर गारंटी पूरी होने की गारंटी है। कांग्रेस का ठेका अब कुछ अर्बन नक्सलियों के पास है। कांग्रेस में अब अर्बन नक्सलियों की ही चल रही है।
We are probably winning.
George Kurian and Sardar RP Singh with us on the straight face-off. Let's go straight across to George Kurian. Agree, disagree? Congress has outsourced everything. Even the party insiders, party leaders feel that it's urban Naxals who have taken control.
Well, Anand, a very good evening to you, to my co-panelist here, Sardar RP Singh ji, and to the audience. I would like to condemn what Prime Minister Modi ji has, while addressing his Karyakartas in Bhopal, has said about the Congress Party, that it is run by, it has outsourced its operations and to its extent to the urban Naxals, and also saying that Congress Party is like a rusted iron. I would like to tell Prime Minister Modi ji that I appreciate that he's comparing the Congress Party to an iron, which itself means strength. But having said that, it is for the discretion of the people to decide whether the Congress Party is a rusted iron, or we'll leave it to the wisdom of the people and the voters to decide whether the Congress Party is a rusted iron in the upcoming elections, assembly elections and the Lok Sabha elections. Having said that, I would also want to say that the Prime Minister wasn't looking very confident with the Madhya Pradesh Bharatiya Janata Party leadership, because he very well understands, he knows that in the last 18 years of the rule in Madhya Pradesh, the government has just failed the people of Madhya Pradesh and has costed the exchequer and the taxpayers' money to amount over 1 lakh crore. So I don't want to elaborate on the scams because the show will be short of time.
But you still not said whether the outsourcing part is true or false. Sardar Hardeep Singh, rusted iron or not, you have to prove the charge. Why is the Prime Minister suddenly saying that Congress Party leaders itself are saying that everything is being outsourced?
Well, where are the all old leaders? I mean, all of them have left or have been sidelining the Congress Party, and everyone knows that who is running the Congress Party today. And as far as urban Naxal goes, Isa Salwar's colleague is on record saying that he was paid money by one of the leading Congress leaders at that time, one of the key Congress leaders at that time, if I rightly remember, in to some 30 lakh rupees to do what they did against Prime Minister, then Chief Minister Modi, and then created a complete ecosystem. And not only that, Digvijay Singh is on record that Naxals are not extremists. I mean, he is on record, he is trying to defend the Naxals in one of his tweets or one of his debates. And this is ongoingly happening. And then also, when Mr. Rahul Gandhi goes abroad, he meets certain people who has the radical left leanings, whether it is the Leroto or Fabio Castelado. I mean, these are the names which are there, whom he met recently. And then he quite often meet a lot of people here also, and then especially the Chinese foreign embassy people here. And then when he denies it, and then when he's caught, he accepts it. Can I, sir? I never interrupted you, sir. Please. So this is what happens. And then Prime Minister is right when he says there are people who are influenced or who have played role as urban Naxals or who are supporters of Naxal. Because when Mr. Rahul Gandhi gets people like who support
but Hardeep Singh ji, Mallikarjun Kharge is no youngster. He's a past master. He's a veteran in the Congress Party. Jairam Ramesh is a veteran in the Congress Party. You have lifelong Congresses who are there in top positions in terms of the Congress Working Committee. K.C. Venugopal is no youngster, nor is he a greenhorn. And Rahul Gandhi himself is a Congress MP since 2004. Now, if these are the people who are amongst the top leaders within the Congress Party, who are the urban Naxals? Where is the control outsourced?
No. What about Kanhaiya Kumar, or what are the people who give the supporting lead to Rahul Gandhi in various capacities and various forms? It's not the mainline leadership. So there are people who are soft towards that ideology. They are part of the Congress Party today, officially part of the Congress Party today. When 76 Jawans were killed, CRPF Jawans were killed, who were people who were celebrating here and distributing sweets, and then where are they now? We all know what's happening, to whom they are supporting here. And even in Bharat Jodo Yatra, who were the people who in between came and met Mr. Rahul Gandhi, and then whom were they supported from, which country were they supported?
So remote control is with urban Naxals. They are the ones who have some of the top leaders' ear right now, George Kurian. Is it frustrating career Congresses?
I would like to respectfully disagree to what Mr. Hardeep Singh ji has just said on your show. I don't agree to him, trying to connect urban Naxals with the Congress Party. There is nothing as such. The Congress Party has a very capable leadership. It has a blend of leadership with the old and who can mentor the young. upcoming we have gone through the Congress Working Committee, which has been recent past. So it has got the mix of everything, and the Congress Party has a very strong leadership, and it is capable of delivering. So whereas Madhya Pradesh is concerned here, the Prime Minister, as I said, wasn't looking very confident about the leadership that has not delivered to the people's expectation. So I would like to say that the Congress Party in Madhya Pradesh is confident of coming back to power.
So you're trying to say, Mr. George Kurian, that there are no urban Naxals within the Congress Party? There are no urban Naxals who hold sway or influence within the Congress Party, who are setting Nara and also Niti?
Was that question to me?
Yes, Mr. Kurian.
Well, as I said, I don't agree to this.
I have to answer that.
Yes, final words, Sardar Hardeep Singh. I have to wind up. 30 seconds, sir. So George Kurian doesn't agree with that
Mr.
point
Kurian,
of view at all.
How about How about the people who support anti-Sanatan ideology? People who categorically said that we need to eradicate Sanatanis in the country. What is that ideology? And then your people like Kartik Chandram or Priyank Khadge or to certain extent KC Venugopal also support such elements. I mean, they support such elements.
Supporting such elements, does that make them urban Naxals, or was that who the PA Prime Minister was actually alluding to, or is it somebody else? These questions will be asked. I have to wind up, gentlemen. I have to wind up because tonight, I regret I have to wind up. We're taking a very short break here. When we come back, it's a very, very special broadcast, ladies and gentlemen. It's a campaign that's very close to our heart, a cause which needs to become a movement with your support. We all need to be aware. We all need to embrace, and we all need to be united against cancer. Stay with us for Sanjeevani.
Keep those objections under the wraps, because there are, of course, various leaders who have aspirations. You have Vasundhara Raje, who is the former Chief Minister of Rajasthan and a very strong leader, and therefore you have other leaders as well, like Gajendra Singh Shekhawat, CP Joshi, Rajendra Rathod. So without taking any risk, BJP is giving clear indication that they will fight this election under the leadership and on the face of Prime Minister Modi. And once, if they form the government, then they will decide who's going to be leading the Bharatiya Janata Party there in the state. And that is perhaps the reason why that message, in fact, has been given to all state leaders, that we have to fight this election collectively. There shouldn't be any, individual campaigning or etc. And that was the reason why, if you see that Parivartan Yatra, which happened in Rajasthan, that was not led by one person. There were 4 yatras, which was led by 4 different leaders.
Arun, thank you for those details. We'll continue to check back in with my colleague. As you can see, the Prime Minister in Jaipur. It's time for a short break. On the other side, in just a few minutes, more of the country's top stories. This is the Breaking News Show. The Prime Minister, as you can see on the visuals in front of us, in Jaipur. A little while earlier, we brought you visuals of the Prime Minister in a rally in Madhya Pradesh. Both Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan are due for elections. You'll remember this year, in just a few months from now. In Rajasthan, remember, the Prime Minister is there right now to address audiences. He'll be addressing crowds in just a little while from now. But in Rajasthan, his visit is of particular importance because, remember, the BJP in Rajasthan has seen some disquiet within its state unit with various polls of leadership. Former Chief Minister Vasundhara Raje, choosing not to attend rallies in multiple areas, seen as a seeming sign of her dissatisfaction with decisions being made by the central BJP leadership. So that disquiet very much remains. Remember, the Rajasthan state is currently ruled by the Congress government. Ashok Gehlot, the Chief Minister, is going to be launching that campaign against the BJP in just a few months from now. The Congress too in Rajasthan has seen its own fair share of infighting. Obviously, you must be familiar with this. Former Deputy Chief Minister Sachin Pilot's infighting with the Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot. So, 2 separate parties, both the BJP and the Congress in Rajasthan, with their own state party unit complications playing out. In Rajasthan itself, over the last few months, the BJP has carried out multiple yatras. We've also seen Home Minister Amit Shah and the Defence Minister Rajnath Singh address these yatras over the last few days itself. In one such yatra, we saw the Home Minister refer to the Sanatan Dharm controversy that was playing out down south. Remember, this is the controversy where a DMK leader made statements about the Sanatan Dharm. That was looked at as particularly interesting by experts, as an indication almost of what the BJP poll plan could look like in just a few months from now. Now, my colleague Arun with us to bring us more context. Arun, you joined us earlier in the day when the Prime Minister was giving speeches in Madhya Pradesh. Now he's obviously in Jaipur, two election-bound states. Can you bring our audiences more context about what lies in store here in Jaipur?
Well, see, Prime Minister Modi has a very jam-packed schedule today. Firstly, he started his day with a rally in Madhya Pradesh. Then he has reached Rajasthan, and after concluding his program in Rajasthan, remember, he'll be reaching to Delhi and then participate in another program of Deen Dayal Upadhyay, the statue. So now, as we speak, Prime Minister Modi is in Jaipur, and remember that today is the culmination day of the Bharatiya Janata Party's Parivartan Yatra in Rajasthan, and of course, Prime Minister Modi, has been welcomed by women there, and the state BJP has planned this visit of Prime Minister Modi in a way that all the work related to Prime Minister's rally, stage work, etc., would be done by all women workers of Bharatiya Janata Party. And in fact, when Prime Minister Modi is arriving there, then on the both sides of the road, you'll have women worker welcoming Prime Minister Modi, thanking Prime Minister Modi for this women's reservation bill, which has come to the fore, and in fact passed by the Parliament's both houses, and therefore we are seeing that Prime Minister Modi is getting that welcome from the people of Rajasthan. He will of course be engaging with the audiences there. Prime Minister Modi will make sure that whenever he visits poll-bound states, he talk about those issues which are really mattering on the ground. And BJP has been actually targeting Congress Party on three issues. One, of course, is women's safety. Second is the appeasement politics of the Congress Party, and third is corruption. So these are the issues which BJP highlighted vis-a-vis Rajasthan is concerned in past couple of months.
Tell our audiences.
In India, 1 in 9 people are prone to cancer. And it's the top cause of death among non-communicable diseases.
मगर क्या हम इस जानकारी से डरकर बैठ जाएं? नहीं.
This statistic is an opportunity to fight fear, to fight cancer with awareness.
We can win over cancer with advanced treatments, medications, and technology, especially when it is detected early.
And that's why it's important that you opt for regular cancer screening
and timely health checkups for early detection.
रेगुलर हेल्थ चेकअप से कैंसर जल्दी पकड़ में आ सकता है, ताकि उसे बढ़ने से पहले ही रोका जा सके.
All we need to do is to take charge of our health. So let's come together
and stand united
against cancer.
Namaste, Jai Hind, and welcome to this very special presentation on the News 18 network. I'm Anand Narsaman. We bring you a message that holds the power to save lives and change destinies. Welcome to Sanjeevani, a groundbreaking initiative by Federal Bank Hormus Memorial Foundation and the News 18 network, along with Tata Trusts, dedicated to promoting early detection of cancer through regular screening. As per studies, 95% lives can be saved through early detection of cancer. Sanjeevani, United Against Cancer, is not just a campaign. It's a movement to empower individuals to take control of their health and make them understand why timely screening is a must. Let's stand united against cancer, ensuring a brighter, healthier future for all. Let's start this season of Sanjeevani with a very special conversation between my colleague Zaka Jacob, Managing Editor, CNN News 18, and Federal Bank CEO and MD, Mr. Shyam Srinivasan, who's our partner in taking this cancer awareness campaign to every corner of the country. Shyam, thank you very much for joining us on this very special broadcast.
Thanks, Zaka.
So, in 2021, when the world saw the biggest pandemic ever, and at that time, Federal Bank joined hands with Network 18 to launch what was then India's most successful vaccination awareness drive, Sanjeevani. Tell us a little bit more about how that partnership came to be and how did it help in combating what was the toughest modern day pandemic that we've seen?
The primary objective then was awareness, because there was this fear and reluctance, reticence to try and experiment with this whole vaccine as a solution for COVID to, sort of prevention. When we knew that we reached lakhs of people in the many corners of the country and could go out and change lives. And I'm really glad that we chanced upon that.
So let's talk a little bit about preventive health. This year, Sanjeevani is back with a big focus on spreading awareness about health checkups, particularly in the early detection of cancer. Talk to our viewers about why you've chosen to focus this time around on cancer.
So when the teams, I think our team and the Network 18 team sat down to look at what are the various health issues that come up and which are the ones that are has both taboo, reluctance to test, and has far-reaching consequences of not testing, and more importantly, the number of incidences. And unfortunately, and not surprisingly, the whole area of cancer and prevention there seem to sort of jump out as the most prominent ones that needed advice, preventive support, and most importantly, awareness. Hopefully, over the coming weeks and months, we will be able to reach out to many parts of India where awareness levels are low, or even if they're aware, reluctance is low, and to share with them the importance of testing early and the benefits of doing so. Lives have changed. In the public domain, we see so many people who have fought it and come out, and they've always argued that if they knew it earlier, they could have dealt with it better. So I think we're inspired by the fact that the need is there. Consequences of testing early and preventive care is quite enormous, is life-changing in many areas. The breadwinner of the family or the caregivers are the ones who are affected mostly. And if we were able to help them, reach out to them and give them a chance to recognize the problem up front early or detect it, I think it will be something that we can all look back with some satisfaction.
Finally, was there any personal anecdote which served as an inspiration for this campaign, whether it was in your personal interactions or from one of your employees or one of your customers, which inspired this entire campaign on cancer awareness and cancer detection early?
I see, like everywhere else, as a kind of large organization, when we socialize this thought, immediately some of our HR colleagues pointed out there were 3-4 individuals who have had, unfortunately, bad outcomes. But there are some individuals who have fought it and have come out, and I've seen the sharing of what they went through by two of our colleagues. Actually, both husband and wife work in the bank. The lady went through sort of recovering from a very tough phase, but they have publicly shared their journey of how they detected and how they overcome and how they are raising a family through this. And that story is both motivating, inspiring, yet touching, and one wish that they never had to go through. Personally, a dear batchmate of mine whom we met middle of last year in great health just disappeared, right? And all these are only pointing to the fact that if only we knew it earlier, could we have done better? And so I think the whole program that we are conceiving is, of course, stemming out of a lot of public data that is there, but also experiences that the bank or individuals in the bank have had, and their narration of it, and their experiences, that the fact that they're able to come out and fight it and live and be an example is inspiring. But the fact that they had to encounter this or endure this is rather unfortunate. So we are hoping that instances of that nature is what we should try to help, and give reassurance to people that there is an ecosystem willing to wait and support. If only all of us could sort of give it attention and detect it early.
All right. Shyam Srinivasan, it's always a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you very much for joining us on this special broadcast.
Thank you, Zakar.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Srinivasan, for sharing your vision for this initiative. It is now time to meet a cancer fighter who faced his diagnosis with utmost resilience and positivity. This is the story of Rajneesh Singh, an HR consultant who remains fearless, hopeful, and even exuberant during his journey to recovery.
एक फौजी जवान की तरह जीना है, जो एक बार आगे बढ़ गया तो मुड़ के पीछे नहीं देखता. Hi, I'm Rajneesh Singh and I'm a cancer fighter. Colon cancer case, but yes, it went bad because it had started spreading. And so this was a stage 4 situation. For me, it became a battle. And so I went into that mode that this thing has to be taken head on. My closest family, yes, my wife, son, both very, very supportive, very positive. So that helped immensely. The family, the friends, they also play a big role. That's a very important support group. Just the night before I got admitted for my surgery, for some reason, I just thought whatever those 10 days had been of the tests, I thought of just writing them down. And then these 3 magic words came, the good patient, that I have been hugely cooperative and whatever I have been told, like a very, sincere student, you've been just following the instructions. So that is where the names got stuck. And then I thought of doing this, I think, for the benefit of the larger cancer community, rather than keeping it under wraps. I just wanted to do it the other way around, talk about it, and let the world know that if you have the will, if you have the inner strength, you can fight it. As of now, things look absolutely in control, but yes, I need to stay watchful of any symptoms that crop up. No way I would allow the cancer to win, in the whole battle.
That was such an inspiring story. Rajneesh remains undaunted in the face of cancer. And as we conclude this launch show of Sanjeevani, United Against Cancer, we are reminded of the power of early cancer detection. The show has come to an end, but this mission, this movement has only just begun. It's not just about saving lives, it's about changing lives through regular screening and early detection. With knowledge and collective action, we can rewrite the narrative in the fight against cancer. Thank you for tuning in to Sanjeevani, United Against Cancer.
Good evening. Welcome to Brass Tacks. I'm Zakar Jacob. It's been exactly a week today since Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau made those dramatic allegations about possible Indian involvement in the death of Hardeep Singh Nijjar, a Canadian national and a known Khalistani sympathizer and terrorist. Now, the interesting thing is, in this last 1 week, since Mr. Trudeau made those allegations, there has been no evidence that's been put in the public domain to substantiate those allegations. In fact, Government of India officials have been saying that neither before Mr. Trudeau went public nor after has even the Government of India been provided by the Government of Canada with credible evidence to back Mr. Trudeau's claims. Also separately, over the weekend, we had the story about how the initial intel for Hardeep Nijjar and his death was provided to Canada by the United States as part of its Five Eyes alliance. How, if at all, does that change what's been going on between India and Canada? Is there now a much larger diplomatic attention at play? And how should India respond? And the most important question being, short of the Canadians being able to provide intelligence and credible evidence to back these claims, should India consider ratcheting up the diplomatic pressure one notch higher?
Any involvement of a foreign government in the killing of a Canadian citizen on Canadian soil is an unacceptable violation of our sovereignty. In the strongest possible terms, I continue to urge the government of India to cooperate with Canada to get to the bottom of this matter.